Hi guys, today's tutorial we're going to get this girl, we're going to place her into this picture using a mask tool using Photoshop 2022. Okay, now the first thing we're going to be doing here, stop that, pick up the image, and on the left hand side here we've got what they call the quick selection tool. Click that one. Right at the top here, on the top of the screen, you've got the select subject. Select that and then Photoshop will do this automatically. It's called Photoshop Sensei or something like that. So all of a sudden, as you can see, I'll just zoom in. It's going right around the whole entire image. It's doing a pretty good job, especially with the hair. Now over to the layer. In the bottom of the layers panels here, you've got that little box. Just click that and that's masked the actual image. Now you can move that image around as much as you like, do whatever you want. Now what we're going to do, we're just going to use the ordinary move tool. We're going to click on her, drag it up to the next photo I'm going to put it into, and then let go there. So I'm dragging, dropping. So look, that does a pretty good job with it masking, doesn't it? It's great. See that guy in the background is only small, but that's fine. We're going to cover that area, him. Now we're going to put her here, and it looks like she's a lot closer to the camera. So we'll put her feet. I'm just looking at her feet here, just bringing her down. What I'm going to do is make it more realistic. We've got a little part down the bottom here. I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm talking about. Hold down the spacebar key to move the whole entire image around. Go back to the move tool. And it's going to put it like this so that her foot here is going to, will eventually, if I turn that off, will eventually be behind this rock. So it gives a bit more of a realistic approach to it. There's a couple of different ways of how you can do that. You can fix that up. But what we're going to do first, we're going to zoom out, right click and fix the screen. And we're going to duplicate, right click the layer, duplicate layer, call it whatever you want, okay. Now with this one, I'm going to convert it to black and white. So with a Mac, Control Command U, Shift Command U, automatically does that. Otherwise, you can just go up to Image, Mode, and Grayscale. You can do that. But if you go to Grayscale, what happens, it says, do you want to flatten the image? Don't flatten the image. We don't want to do that, discard, cancel. So again, up in the layers panels here, the one that we just used, I'm going to right click that. We're going to convert to smart object so we can muck around with this layer and do things with it. Right click it again and rasterize. Now if we didn't, we'd leave it as a layer that's masked and everything else. You won't be able to do much with it. So I'm going to go up to Image, Adjustments and Exposure. What we're going to do here, we're going to create the shadow. So go up to Exposure and take the exposure right down and you've got black. Hit OK. Now we've got to think. I'm going to turn these two off. If it's got a light source coming through, this is where it gets a little bit technical or naughty. Basically what I want to do, I'm going to create a realistic new shadow. So what we're going to do, get her back there and put the shadow. I'm going to get the move tool again. I'm going to go up to Edit, Transform and Distort. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to click up the top here in the middle, drag it down and then give it a bit of an angle like that. So it looks more or less like this is what the shadow would be. So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller at the top because it's further away, as in with shadows. And that'll do. I'm going to leave the feet where the feet are. Yeah, just leave them there like that. Oops, go back up. That's where they are. And hit any selection tool to deselect. Now with her image of the color person, click on that and drag it above the shadow one. And there you go, you got the shadow. Now with the shadow, click that and go up to your blending modes. Because it's black, we'll just go down to soft light and see how it goes automatically see through. It looks pretty good, but it's pretty sharp. So what we're going to do, we're just going to blur it. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. I'm just going to bring that up a bit. You just keep a look on that and see how it's going. That looks good. That's fine. I might even change the opacity, bring it down just a tad. Bit more realistic that way. Okay, now we're back. That's pretty much basically what we're going to be doing. We're going to change the color so that it all matches in. But before we do all that, what I'm going to do, holding the space bar key, I'm going to move it up. The shadow worked out really well. I'm just going to make sure that that shadow, I'm just use the arrow keys here, just to bring it above where the feet are. That's it. Now, with this image here, what we can do, bring the opacity down. And while we're in mask mode, we just use a paintbrush. There we go. Use a paintbrush and make sure that we got that black one at the top here selected. And we got a nice small size because we're really not too sure what we're looking at here. Bring the opacity down a little bit more. See that? You can see the brick. I want to make this a little bit bigger and blurrier. So roughly that is where the rock is. That'll do. I'm just going to colour in the rest of the foot here so you won't see that anymore. Yada yada. There we go. Put the dress as well, of course. And just colour that in like that. Put the opacity back up. And just do the finishing touches. So it looks like it's actually a foot is actually behind the rock. Now the other thing is too we've got to look at. I'll zoom in. Anything that's in her line of sight from the camera. So for argument's sake, you look at the ground. Is that sharp or is it blurry? It's blurry. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click on the image, not the black part, not the layer part, just the image itself. Go up to filter, blur. I'm just going to go blur more. So that's blurred a little bit. I'm going to do it again. I'm just going to do this a couple of times until I get pretty much, that'll do. I don't want to go too far. It's a little bit too far. So I'm just going to go Command Z, means go back. Or you can just go up to Edit, Undo Blur. Alright, so that looks good. Okay, now while we've got the top one selected, we're going to select a color, a new color layer. So what I do, get the eyedrop tool, we're going to use that color in the background there. See, automatically this little circle comes up and shows you what color you selected. So on the bottom of this layers here, we've got this little box, a little circle. I'm just going to add a new layer. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a solid color. And automatically, that's the color we picked, it'll come up. So I'm going to change the blending mode down to soft light. Get overlay, a bit too much. Soft light, hard light, no. Soft light. So it's blended both images in quite well. Take that off, look at that. So that looks quite good, realistic. But matching the color tones and everything else is going to be pretty hard. So just got this with a new color tone. Now you can actually change the opacity, bring it down a bit so it's not so strong. And there you go, guys. That's basically how you do it. And I'm just going to layer, flatten the layer. And I think we're done. Now you can go into another, let's see, we can go into hue and saturation layer. And you can change the hues, saturation, but that'll just destroy the image. Saturation, take it up, take it down. Lightness, down a bit, that'll do. It's going to go back to the background, image, adjustments, and exposure. Gamma correction, take that up, and you got that look. So when you're happy with the image, guys, you just go up to Layer, Flatten, and save your image. Thanks for watching.